Good evening, everyone. Today's been a kind of a long day, so I apologize for my tone of voice. It's just been a really difficult one. There's been a lot of activity because so many have been arrested. And I would like to clarify that because I think that people, like this one guy I saw, a friend of mine sent me his video, and he said, oh, this guy's talking about somebody's got arrested, and I think what a lot of the problem is that people really either can't understand or don't understand that, or they think we're all human. And the funny thing is humans are a minority. And most people, I should actually do a statistical report on that, but in America, I would have to gamble to say that it almost seems that there's more reptilian human hybrids than there are as humans. But I haven't checked that out, so I haven't, I shouldn't really say anything until I've actually done the statistical analysis of that. I need to hurry up because, this tablet I can only do a couple of minutes. I wish that I could actually work and earn some money to buy a computer, but so I want to verify that these ones I'm talking about arrests, there have been three men arrested that are from Earth. The Earth, we call it Earthian surface dwellers, that either live in the shell or on the surface of this planet. And they were the ones that most people would look at and call human, like the movie The Fifth Wave. The Fifth Wave is basically a documentary of projected future activity, except they're not called the others, they're called reptilians. And they were specifically hybridized into the human population by the Anunnaki so that they would appear human. But a lot of them aren't. There's been 5,107 troops arrested that were brought in from other places. And those are the ones that I have to deal with all the time, and I'm sure a lot of other people do, that are 100% reptilian. And before I go into this grave report that I have to do, I was talking, and this guy's like, well, I don't believe in aliens. I just started laughing. I said, I wish I didn't. I really, really wish I didn't. It's kind of hard to deny when you've been tested on with the human experiments, and, they put snakes in my body. If you would have told me 6 years ago, oh, guess what, one time when you're being raped, when the man pulls his penis out, they're going to shove a live snake right up your bum, I probably would have killed myself if I knew that was about to come, but I'm still alive. I'm still alive. I'm sorry. Just laughing is the only way I can get through this. Today, February the 5th, Friday, 136 children were gang raped and then murdered in 12 locations, 11 my labs and one other location. And the 18 children were brought up from Texas. They arrived at the Pentagon just after midnight, and 118 children were delivered by SOCOM, Child Trafficking Services. That's called United States Southern Command. And it's a group of men who rape and murder, and that's really their only purpose, is to commit crimes against humanity. They were flown in by former Air Force pilots, 18 of them, and their lovely official name is basically just for a group of child traffickers. That's basically their primary service now to this planet, is to provide children to the men who rape and murder children. And these children were taken from Brazil and Chile. And, the poorest parts, if you ever look at Rio de Janeiro, there's some really, really poor parts. And I saw this woman on this special. She said that finally the electrical company, they finally got electricity, and they finally had their name on something to prove, because none of them have any kind of ID or anything. So it's really, they love undocumented citizens. And the reason they're shopping from other countries is because the Mexican children population has dwindled. So they've been pulling them in from Asia and other parts of the world. And those 18 children at the Pentagon were gang raped by 306 military employees. All are former Nazis. I did a research of their DNA to see how many of these Pentagon employees are former Nazi soldiers or war criminals, and it's 99%. All of them who participated in this are past and heaven calls them past and present, and Nazis. And they said the souls are transferred into new bodies, which I don't know how that works. I know it's possible because I've seen it, but I don't know how it's possible. Washington, D.C., number 1. 12 children were gang raped by 112 government employees, senators, House of Representatives, and then they called them their aides. The Secret Service men and the 12 children were killed by 12 United States senators. Washington, D.C., my lab number 2, 11 children were gang raped by 76 males of the CIA, FBI, DHS, Secret Service, United States Senate, and House of Representatives, Washington, D.C. Police, Virginia State Police, and the 11 children were murdered by 11 U.S. senators. There's a lot of them, like that dude Marco Rubio. I saw him the other day. We're going to take back our country. He's murdered 37 children. What a piece of filth. And I was raped by him. I can't even remember how many times. I think it was like 12 or 13 times. I was raped by every one in the Senate when they were abducting me to my labs. But I'm sorry, this isn't about me. The basement of the White House, which is another place where they love to rape and murder children. 3 children were raped and then murdered by Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton clone, and that's a Bill Clinton clone number 10. And it's funny because I wonder if Hillary Clinton gets killed a lot, because they're already up to like number 17 with her. And Dick Cheney had 42 clones. It was clone number 42 at one point. You know, I guess it was because his bad heart or whatever. Either they're getting murdered or they're dropping dead or whatever. I don't know. Boston, my lab. 5 children were gang raped by 13 Massachusetts state policemen, 3 local politicians, 6 Boston city cops, 8 corporate executives, and 1 Secret Service man. And the 5 children were killed by 5 CEOs. New York City, Midtown. 7 children were gang raped by 17 UN people, New York City police chief, and 18 New York City cops. And I remember seeing a video when this man that I met after he was murdered, named Eric Garner, he was specifically chosen to be murdered by the New York City police chief. And there's this YouTube video that I commented on, and they had all these policemen there, and it was just, I forget how many, they had murdered like a total of 47 or 48 children. And it's really sad how police officers, just participate right along and protect these men who rape and murder children. And the 7 children that were murdered in New York City, at the New York City Midtown, were murdered by the chief of police and 6 New York City cops. New Jersey, 11 children were gang raped by 45 politicians and 1 CIA member, a CIA agent, and the 11 children were all killed by 11 local politicians. Detroit. The Detroit My Lab, 8 children were gang raped by 17 corporate executives and 10 CIA agents, and the 8 children were murdered by 8 CEOs. Indianapolis, and I get so upset because I'm from Indiana. 9 children were gang raped by 39 males, including Indiana Attorney General serial pedophile Greg Zeller, Mike Pence, who's just a piece of filth. That's what we should call him. Instead of people calling him the governor, they should say, oh, this filthy, low-life sewer lizard who rapes and murders children every chance he gets. 7 Indiana State Troopers, and those the same 7 Indiana State Troopers that rape and murder children. They have a long history of this. 22 Indiana State Senators, 3 Indiana State House of Representatives, 2 CIA agents, and 3 CEOs from Indiana companies. The 9 children were murdered, of course, by Mike Pence, who murdered a 10-year-old boy during rape. That was his 25th child he murdered. He murdered his 24th last weekend. 3 CEOs each murdered a child, a 7-year-old girl, an 8-year-old girl, and a 6-year-old boy. This other piece of filth is named Brent Waltz. He's a state senator from District Number 36. This was the 2nd child he murdered, and it was a 6-year-old girl. Another piece of filth named Brian Bosma, who's, I think they call him the director of the House of Representatives or whatever. He raped and murdered a 9-year-old girl, and this was his 4th child. And then 3 state troopers murdered the other 3 children. And of this group of 7 Indiana state troopers, that was the 30th child that they murdered. So these 7 state cops have now murdered 30 children, and I forget how many that they've raped. These numbers just, I can't walk around with this shit in my head because I just get so upset. You know, because I went to the Indiana State Police to try to get these men, and they laughed about it. Our policemen are raping children. Oh, thank you. Have a nice day. Go get some therapy. Bastards. Chicago MyLab number 1. 6 children were gang raped by 43 males, including Rahm Emanuel. He killed a 6-year-old boy. Mark Kirk murdered a 6-year-old girl. 4 CEOs killed 4 girls, and they were aged 6 to 9. All from Chicago companies. In Dallas, MyLab, 21 children were gang raped by 76 males of the CIA, FBI, Texas State Police, Secret Service, NSA, TSA, DHS, and 21 were selected to rape and murder from that list of U.S. corporate companies, or whatever they are, CIA, FBI, because they're all privately owned companies. They're certainly not here to serve us. Their only purpose is to murder people. Okay, I'm sorry. Denver, MyLab, 25 children gang raped by 81 males. And this group were soldiers brought in by whoever you want to call them, Illuminati, New World Order, the Cabal, whatever. I just call them the dark side. 1 state senators, 12 Colorado state policemen, 1 DHS agent, and 1 CIA. And all 25 children were killed by these soldiers that they brought in, part of the group of the 5,107 arrested. But to make that point again, these 5,107 that have been arrested are not from Earth. And I think that shows how desperate these, that are, when I say our, I mean planet Earth, the dark side, you know, like Obama, Biden, and the Clintons, the Reagans, the Bushes, all of these filthy low-life murderers. Only 3 have been arrested here. But, you know, I really would like to say again that prayers have really made a difference. Your prayers have sped up the destruction of the temporals. Your prayers have sped up the destruction of the AI, artificial intelligence drones. And then they brought in some new types of temporal bodies. And they're being destroyed, and all that's because of prayers, and prayers equal intent. It's the intent to stop this child trafficking, war criminal society that we live in. And I thank you. God bless your hearts. And even though the bad news is still bad, there is really a huge level of success going on. We just don't see it yet. But I was told that we're getting really, really close, because if we weren't, all these others wouldn't, you know, have been arrested yet or whatever. So, and also, I talked to Alexandra recently, and I saw that there's this new YouTube whatever channel called Galactic Federation of Light. And that's not the real, that's CIA. That's not the real Galactics, because the real Galactics are benevolent. The real Galactics have 100% sacred light, which we can't achieve on Earth at this time. The highest is 92% sacred light, and only a very few people have that. And they are bad-mouthing a man named Kevin Annett, who has been going after child traffickers for years. And Kevin has 92% sacred light. And his former friend, Alfred Lambermont Weber, his sacred light used to be really high, but it's dropped due to CIA interference in his life. And because they kept putting all these etheric chips in his head and really screwing with him. And really, he's been under a lot of pressure, but he's lost a lot of his sacred light. It was way down, like over 20 points. But I believe he's still a good man, and I believe he'll recover from it. And thank you again. God bless your hearts. Thank you for helping, because my life is a personal hell. Probably because I have a big mouth, but I love you. Thank you. Have a nice night.